What's up, everybody? Welcome to another session here during this O-Week orientation for you guys. I'm Adam Detienne. I'm one of the student advisors here on campus. Happy to be with you. There's been so many good presentations and things going on so far. I think we should start by giving thanks where it's due. Big shout out to Sarah Surratt and Claire Bryan here. They're producing this for you guys today. Leah Vassal with events has been so gracious in organizing this for you guys. So if you get a chance to see them on campus or drop them a message and say thank you, you should do that. Gratitude is a big thing. So thank you guys for joining us here. What we're going to talk about a little bit here today is exactly what the title says, is getting things done. Now, as we're live, it's basically, we're just going to fly through this. It's going to be the Coles Notes version of it. At any time, as the coordinator student advising, you can drop me an email right there at that address, and we can set up a virtual meeting similar to this with Microsoft Teams. Anything that you guys need academically, or even if you need to be kind of guided in the right direction with something else on campus, finding a certain service, whatever it is, that's what my role as the coordinator student advising is all about for first years and beyond. So whatever, you guys think you have a question, drop me a line, I'll answer it for you, or at the very least, if I can't, I'll find someone who can. So take note of that email address. Our agenda for today, as many of you guys might have read the little summary, but we're going to talk about your home workspace. This is a very important year with this hybrid learning stuff. You're going to have information flying at you left and right. There's going to be a lot to take in your in-person classes. But more importantly, for a lot of you guys for the first time, taking online courses and distance type courses. So we're going to talk about your home workspace, what that should look like, and then how you should treat it in terms of being efficient and the all important get things done. So we'll talk about the workspace itself. I'll preface all of this by saying none of this is rocket science, okay? All of you guys might have a way of organizing yourself, how you do things, how your workspace is that works for you. But this is the kind of the both research proven and practice proven here at the school and everywhere of how best to do things. So if it doesn't exactly line up with what you do, that's all good. But we're just kind of presenting some of the best practices for you guys. So let's start with what you don't need in your workspace. Number one, red flashing bell is distraction. Okay, whether that's people. So don't post up on your couch and spread all your work on the dining room table or the coffee table or something and have people coming in and out, having a little party all around you. That's just plain and simple not going to work. It sounds like common sense, but a lot of people don't have that space, or they haven't sought out that personal space to have that, personal one individual workspace that you can do by yourself. So if that's something you don't have right now, you should sort that out. Other sorts of distraction, if there's a TV in your room, if it's right next to your desk, if there's a gaming system there, anything that's going to take you off track, you should not have that in your workspace. If it's within sight of you and it's not directly applicable to your work life at Acadia, don't have it there. So clutter as well. Clear space, clear mind. If you have 6,000 papers all around your desk and books and your clothes are on the floor, whatever it is, I promise you it sounds silly, but it clutters your mind. Get rid of it. It will help you out and be organized. So those are some things kind of what not to do. So remind yourself why you're here. You're investing in yourself. You're putting a lot of money into Acadia. You got to treat this thing like a job. Your workspace is your office. So picture a typical business office, and does that look like your workspace right now? And if the answer is no, then you have some work to do to kind of figure that out, okay? So some tips of what you would need within your workspace to get things done. And we're going to go into more depth of these things right now, but the overview is, as you receive information, there's 3 collection bins, 3 places you're going to get it and you should put it. Your email inbox, you're going to have a physical inbox on your desk for papers, and then you should all have an official notepad that you should have on you at all times for things that are going to be auditory, things that you hear, things that are shared in meetings, whether it's group meetings, in a lecture, in a one-on-one meeting with your professor, have something on you that you can take physical notes, and it's not post-it notes stuck on the front of your, other binder or your textbook. It should be something hardcover that's going to last, that's dependable, that's dated, that you can depend on. Okay. So the other thing, and I think a lot of you guys hopefully have done this even in high school, and if not, it's a big thing, is having a physical calendar on your wall or on your desk that you can follow. Any assignments, any projects, any meetings, any study time, tests, exams should just go on your calendar. If you have to do it and there's a deadline, put it on your calendar, okay? And that includes, some people like to put a little side project list on there just to know as I completed a project, I have a check mark by it. And if I don't, then I know I need to put some more work into it. Check my calendar. How much time do I have? All that sort of stuff to figure out what you need to do, which leads to the next thing in your daily to-do list. So based on your calendar, what's coming up next, you need to prioritize yourself. Have yourself scheduled by hour. We're going to talk about the daily to-do list again here in a little bit, but have yourself scheduled in so that you're checking the boxes as the day goes on. It helps to not procrastinate. It helps to stay organized. Ultimately, helps to stay efficient. And then the last thing, there's going to be a whole bunch of papers we accumulate that we don't necessarily need in the moment. You should have a filing system. You think about a filing cabinet, you could have a box and buy some physical files at Staples or Costco or Walmart, wherever, and then have a file for each course that you put stuff in. Trust me, it helps you organize and will be good. So there's 3 ways we're going to use those tools in your workspace to stay efficient. We're going to talk about collecting the info, how you process it, and then again, how you review it and stay on track. So the collection phase, new stuff is going to enter your world. You immediately need to place it in one of your 3 collection bins. When I say stuff in this context, it defines any sort of information that might require you to do something. Okay, it's anything from errands, if you need to return library books, to upcoming deadlines, studying for next week's quiz, to random ideas you might have that you might want to do with your life. Let's look into starting a club or a campus band or whatever it is. Point being, there's no distinction between work and personal life. Stuff is stuff. It has to get out of your head and stay organized. Okay, so in these contexts of the email inbox, email comes in automatically. It's an automatic collection bin. That's one that we use probably most often. When you get it, make sure it stays in there. Don't delete anything until you process it. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Your physical inbox, basically just that anything paper that you receive, whether it's letters, papers to read, administrative forms, or files, have that in your physical inbox. And then your notebook can capture anything that pops up when you're away from your desk. Like I said, if you hear about an assignment in class or a friend stops you in the dining hall to change the time for your next group study meeting, you should have your notepad on you, be able to write it down so that you don't lose track of the information and miss the important date, deadline, action. So we've collected our info. How are we going to process it? Okay, one of 4 ways. When you first get it, if it's an email, if it's a piece of paper from your professor, whatever it is, if it doesn't require your action, discard it. Get it out of your head. Delete the email. If you don't need the paper anymore, if it's something you don't need for future reference, toss it. Get rid of the clutter, both in your mind and physically in your inbox, papers and emails. Okay? That's very important, because it clears the way to recognize the things you're going to do. If the action can be completed in 5 minutes, if it's an email that comes in, your professor gives you a quick little assignment or a checklist or a registration form, do it. Get it off your plate. These are the things that we say, oh, I'll do that later. That's a quick one. And then we never get back to it, or we miss a deadline, or we forget about it because it wasn't a huge thing on our calendar. If you can do it in the moment, do it. Trust me, this efficiency gets things off your plate. If it's a bigger thing, you're going to have to defer it, because like you said, you're sorting through your information right now. You're not taking action necessarily in the moment. If it's more than a 5-minute task, put it on your calendar. put it on your project list. And then you know that it's recorded. You're going to come back to it and say, what do I have to do to get this done when you're getting your daily to-do lists going? One thing that often gets noted or often gets missed that I noted on here, don't forget to add weekly assignments on each week of your calendar. So if I have a small, 2-point quiz every Friday, don't just put it on the first Friday and say every week. Put it each day, physically write it in all 4 Fridays of the month so that it doesn't slip your mind. It can happen very easily. Sounds like a small thing, but more detail is better when you're organizing yourself. And then finally, if you didn't delete it, do it, or defer it to later, file it away. So if it's a physical paper or an email that you need for future reference, put it in an electronic folder in your inbox, or put it in that filing cabinet we talked about earlier. That's anything from exam preps, study materials, etc. So we've collected all of our info, everything that's coming at us. We've processed it. We've tried to prioritize it. We might have put it on our calendar. Now we have to review every day, how am I going to attack this information and actually get things done? It starts by reviewing your project list and calendar daily. Oftentimes I like to tell students, look at it the night before and identify what time-specific requirements do I have to meet. And that tells you, do I have to do it tomorrow, or do I have to do half tomorrow? Do I have a little bit of time to do it later in the week based on other time commitments that I have? By looking at your calendar and seeing the whole of all your assignments that you have to do and responsibilities, it lets you know how to break it down. And again, if you need help on this, a lot of people haven't done this before, by all means, set a meeting up with me and we can talk through it. It takes time, it takes practice. But once you have things, you have to add them to your daily to-do list so they actually get done. Oftentimes we have templates for this that we can share with you, but it's as simple as, graphing a sheet of paper. A lot of people use Excel, whatever it is, and putting, your hours 9 to 5 on there. How much can I do in a day? I encourage students to treat it like a work day. I know I have this on another slide here, I think, moving forward, but it's worth noting right now is that if you get up in the morning, even if you don't have an 8:30 class or whatever it is, get to school by 8 or 9, work until your class, go to class. Don't just go home afterwards. Go to the library, do whatever you need to do. Well, I guess not this year, but go to your workspace, do whatever you need to do. If it's going to the coffee shop for a minute, don't just go home and go to sleep is my point. Treat it like a work day. As much as you can kind of keep things going, work, class, work, and then by 5 o'clock, if you've done enough stuff, then guess what? You have some free time to yourself. You have some time for socializing with your friends. This isn't all about scheduling every hour of your day. It's about being efficient so you can have some time for you, but have dedicated the necessary time to your schoolwork. And I noted here, if you have lots of free time in a day, if you're looking, gee, I don't have much to do in the next little while, don't just say, I'm taking this Monday or Tuesday off. Look ahead in your calendar. What projects are there? What exams can I study for? What are some smaller things that I might be able to get ahead on? And put that in your day. Because inevitably things are going to pile up. Things are going to happen that you don't fulfill your daily to-do list necessarily because of outside events that just takes you away from it. If you're ahead of the game as much as you can, the better. Take advantage of every day. And then weekly review, it's tying up the loose ends at the end of each week. I suggest to do this on Sunday night perhaps. All of us tend to kind of reset on the Monday, so it's a great time to do it. You can look at all your to-do lists during the week and say, how much did I actually cross off? Same thing with your project list. Did I check off any projects? Did I get ahead? And importantly as well, when you look back on your calendar for the week, did I miss anything? Okay. You have to identify what steps are remaining to both complete your projects, both do in the future. Maybe if you happen to miss something by mistake, you realize it on Sunday and it doesn't get too far behind you. Okay, so that's more of a broader overview for a week at a time, each Sunday. And then each night you have to attack it daily. You can't do a daily to-do list for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in one night. You have to do Tuesday's daily to-do list on Monday night. That's how it works. It sounds like it's going to take time. For the little time you put into it, it's going to pay off big in your efficiency the next day. So a note, a little more on daily to-do list. Like I said, I knew I had this on here. Treat your workday like a job. Work hours are work hours. Okay. If someone, I know it's tempting sometimes, someone says, let's go do this during the day, that during the day. Every now and then, I guess, you know, if you're a disciplined person and you feel like you want to put it off to the night, it's fine, but it's a dangerous game to play. Okay. Because you know, eventually that doesn't get done. Then your daily to-do list doubles up the next day. You don't actually get anything done. So I would encourage you to treat your work hours like work hours, despite, you know, any other temptations you might have to do something else. And assign the hours of your day. You know, figure out where you're most efficient. What's your best available time? If you're someone who took all afternoon classes because you can't get up in the morning, you don't function well in the morning, whatever it is, then don't think you're going to put your daily to-do list starting at 7:30 in the morning. That's the same reason you didn't take those classes, is you're functional in the afternoon. So maybe for you, your day starts, you know, 11 to whatever, 9 o'clock, something like that. And then from 9 on, you're free. You like to sleep, and then in the morning, that's more beneficial to you as a person. Work when you work best, and work when you feel like you're going to be the most available mentally, in terms of not being distracted, all that sort of stuff. And it's also, you have to note, there's going to be personal obligations all the time. It could be a class obligation. It could be something that, you know, you work at Joe's or work wherever. Something scheduled other than your daily to-do list you assigned yourself. You have to be aware of that. If it's a weekly thing, you know that your workday is going to be altered somewhat because of another commitment you have. So the more you have, the more, even more so, you have to be dedicated to this organizational game. Use all the hours available to you to maximize your personal time later. I touched on that already. The more efficient you are, the more time you have to yourself. That's as an adult, that's as a student, that's, you know, any time in your work life, university or otherwise. But beware of overloading your day. Don't think that you can get too much done. You have to know your limits, know your personal limits on, you know, your burnout factor in a day, how many hours you can work consecutively, all that sort of stuff. And it's also important to note, I didn't write it right in the slide, but when you're scheduling, you know, what you're going to do each hour of the day, put an hour for lunch in there. It has to go on the schedule. Don't put, you know, something in there 12 to 1 and think you're going to eat lunch and do that. Have some time to yourself, again, like a work day, where there's some breaks, 15 minutes here, put in 15 minutes there, but write it on the schedule. Hold yourself accountable to it. It's great for your mental health, physical health, and your productivity. And finally, it's okay if things come up. I get so many student meetings come and say, gee, I do these daily to-do lists, and it seems like things are popping up on me all the time. It's like, you know, and then I didn't get this done, I didn't get that done. Guess what? That's life. That's going to happen to all of us, and it's going to happen, you know, often, I would say even. So you got to be a little bit flexible. You got to be able to extend your workday if you have to move things around. But always have your eye on the prize, your eye on your schedule, and know how you're going to be able to adjust yourself. But being flexible is key, and not panicking if things come up. Okay, it could be anything from your car breaking down to whatever. We're all human, but again, just try to stay on task as much as you can. But give yourself a break. It's important. And, you know, all this stuff it's not to put more work on you. It's to make things easier for you. It's to be less stressed. It's to say, okay, I did this. It's not a panic of, gee, what do I have to do now? You start flipping through all your papers, all your due dates. It's, gee, I had this calendar scheduled. It led me to this daily to-do list. It's a no-brainer. I just move on to the next thing. It's no worries. You're not worried about missing anything. You're not missing assignments. You're not begging your professors for extensions or anything like that because you missed something. This will help you out and make you less stressed. So I hope that, you know, you can kind of take note of that and take advantage of it. So again, taking pride in it, in your workspace that we talked about right at the beginning, your detail, attention to detail scheduling, it can mean big gains in your grades. I didn't say this at the start, but one of my other responsibilities here at Acadia is running the academic student support program, which is meant for students who come back here on academic probation after a tough year. So basically, for those of you who might not be familiar, first-year students, if your GPA is below 1.5 after a full academic year, then you get placed on probation status. So what that means is there's certain things you have to do, including taking this program to help you get back on track. And one of the main things that I deal with all the time is just this. It's organization. It's not that students can't do the work. It's not that they're not capable. It's just that things got in the way of them getting stuff done. So avoid that. You don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball. You don't want to be having to take extra courses if you happen to fail something, and vice versa. If you're a middle of the pack student, you're a 2.5 GPA, you feel like that's where you always are, you can bump that up to a 3+ right away by getting more organized as well. It's not just avoiding the bad stuff on the bottom, it's getting more so towards the top of the pack as well. Okay, so just some stuff to think about of how important this it seems very simple of a topic, but how important it is to your success. So I guess right now I can open it up to if there's any questions at all. I know Sarah and Claire are kind of looking at the chat box here at some point if there's anything out there. But I think importantly, more than anything, while we kind of wait on that, is just to not feel like you're going to be a master of this right away as well. Like, I think it's something that it takes practice. Your week in organization, the first week of class is going to be a learning process, and by the time you're at Christmas exams, hopefully you're a little more seasoned veteran of it. You've learned the ins and outs of what you can do, what you can't do, what you figured out, quirks of your schedule, what times you work best, all sorts of stuff, how you deal with being flexible. You learn about yourself, you learn how to schedule yourself better, and don't worry if it doesn't work out right away, if you don't check off your daily to-do list right away. It's something that you know how much to give yourself, how little to give yourself, if you're stressed, if you're not. It's all kind of an ebb and flow as you go through the term. So don't panic if it doesn't work right away. It's a practice thing, same as anything. Practice makes perfect. So I'm just looking to see if there's anything here.
Hey, Adam, we do have a question here. From an anonymous. When taking notes during lectures, are online notes or Microsoft Notes better, or is handwritten better?
Well, this is a topic we could have a whole other presentation on for sure. And that's the other thing I should say as well. If there's something specific like that, whether it's note taking, whether it's writing, whatever it is, that we do have a database of information that we can send you some readings and some stuff that you can take in and read on your own and try to implement. Quickly, the short answer would be what works for you. The caveat with electronic notes and typing notes and things like that is we often are tempted to put more information than we necessarily need. We don't break it down and synthesize it into kind of we use the term Cole's notes all the time, but we don't put it into point form as well. We kind of sometimes miss the overall part, feeling of the lecture, the overall purpose of the lecture, because we're just typing the whole time trying to take in every sentence. Handwritten notes, by nature, you can't write them as quickly. You take it more in point form. I think that depending on you and your mental discipline with that is the number one consideration. But again, there's all sorts of things with note taking that we can talk about and share. And I know it's an anonymous question, but I'd encourage you to drop me a line, and I can send you some of the more detailed stuff, and we can certainly talk about that.
I just want to let you know as well that there was a comment, just stating that this is super helpful for students, and that someone had already started organizing their room during this presentation. So it's going well.
That's good to hear. Sometimes it's just honestly about opening up your eyes and just having a fresh perspective on things. Like we were all kind of chatting before we came on the presentation here about just, as adults in working life, all this still applies to us in the exact same way. And there's always room to clean up, in quotation marks, whether that's physically or kind of proverbially in terms of working better, working faster, working smarter. So harder, not smarter. Smart. See, I'm confused now. I'm confusing myself. Smarter, not harder is the way to go. So bottom line of it all is, guys, I'm happy that this has helped you. I know that I've tuned into some of the other stuff throughout the week, and it's just been fantastic. If you haven't had a workout with Coach Duffy yet, go to the workouts and that side part of the day. It's just top flight stuff. Yeah, I appreciate the time. Sarah, I don't think we have anything else.
Nothing else has come up yet as of right now. I do also highly encourage the workouts with Coach Duffy. He's a great person and keep you nice and active. So check that out as well as the other sessions going on this whole week. So keep an eye out. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys all very much. Again, thanks to Sarah and Claire there in the booth, and happy to have the opportunity to share with you guys. And for many of you, you recognize some names here who have logged in, I'm sure, that I've dealt with in the past. It's a pleasure to kind of walk the journey with you as this Acadia experience unfolds. For those of you who are first year, welcome. It's going to be fantastic. You're at the start of an awesome journey that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So thanks again to everybody here. Drop me a line anytime if you feel like a question comes up after the fact. And yeah, all the best for now. Cheers.